Hello, I'm Petru from Gulian Technology. Today I would like to suggest you a lab which will help you to prepare for CCNA exam. In this lab you will need to configure IP addresses on all the devices, you'll need to configure static routing, and you'll need to check the connectivity between the PCs. So make sure to watch to the end, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video and visit my website gulian.uk. Let's get started. Before checking the solution, pause this video and try to configure the tasks yourself. So the first task will be to configure IP addresses on all devices. You need to use the CIDR ranges that appear on the diagram. You need to configure static routing, and the last step is to ensure that you are able to ping PC2 from PC1. In this lab, I use Cisco Packet Tracer version 8.2. If you want to follow along, please visit my website gulian.uk, from where you can download the PKT file and you can open it in your Cisco Packet Tracer and you can do the same steps. I will begin by configuring the IP address on the PC1. Right now, if you go to the command prompt, you can see that there is no IP address configured on this machine. I will close this window and I will go to IP configuration and I will configure the IP address 192.168.1.10 and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. The default gateway is R1 and it will have the IP address 192.168.1.1. And I will go to R1. I will go to the CLI. I will press enter. I will enter in the user exec mode. I will go to config terminal, to the global configuration mode, and I will select the interface gig 0/0. In order to configure an IP address, you need to run the command IP address, and the IP address that we will use for this interface will be 192.168.1.1. You can use the context sensitive help. As you can see, now we need to specify the subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0, and press enter. Now we need to enable the interface. You can enable the interface with the command no shutdown. Press enter. A syslog message was generated. As you can see, the interface gigabit ethernet 0/0 changed its state to up, and the line protocol on interface gigabit 0/0 is up. Now next we need to configure the gigabit interface 0/1. Let's go to interface gig 0/1, and this interface should be configured with an IP address from the CIDR range 10.10.10.0/30. I will assign the IP address 10.10.10.1 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.252. I'll press enter and I will add the no shutdown command in order to enable the interface. The state changed to up. I need to press end and save the configuration. Next, I will go to the router R2. I will select CLI. I will press on the enter and I will go to the user exec mode. From here, I will go to the global configuration mode by entering the command config terminal. Next, we need to configure the interface gigabit 0/0 and gigabit ethernet 0/1. Let's start by configuring the interface gig 0/0. I will add the IP address 10.10.10.2 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.252. I'll press enter and I will add the no shutdown command. The next step is to configure the interface gig /0/1 with the IP address 10.10.10. We need to configure an IP address from this range 10.10.10.4/30. I will choose the IP address 10.10.10.5 for this interface with the subnet mask 255.255.255.252, and I will press add the no shutdown command in order to enable the interface. I will add the end command to go to the user exec mode, and I will say the configuration with the right command. Next, let's go to the R3. On R3 we need to do the same thing. We need to configure the interface gigabit 0/0 and we need to configure the interface gigabit 0/1. Let's start by configuring the interface gigabit 0/0. I'll press enter, enable conf terminal, and I will go to interface gigabit Ethernet 0/1. I will configure the IP address 10.10.10.6 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.252, and don't forget about the no shutdown command. Next, let's configure the interface gig 0/0. We need to add an IP address from the range 172.16.1.0/24. I will use the first IP address from this range, which will be 172.16.1.1 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. I will enable the interface with the command not shutdown, and I will save the configuration with the right command. Next, we need to configure the PC2. Right now, if we check the IP address with the ipconfig command, we can see that there is no IP address on this PC. Let's go to IP configuration mode and let's add the IP address 172.16.1.10, and we need to specify the subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and the default gateway will be 172.16.1.1, and I will close this window. Now we have finished the configuration of the task 1. We have configured the IP addresses on all the devices. If we go to the PC1 and try to open the terminal, if we try to open the command prompt and ping the PC2, which has the IP address 172.16.1.10, there is no connectivity at the moment because we didn't configure the static routing. We receive a message destination host unreachable from the default gateway, which is the router R1. Let's go to the router R1 and let's configure static routing. For this, go to global configuration mode by entering the command conf terminal. In order to configure a static route, you need to add the command IP route. So we see here IP route, establish static route. So we need to add IP route, and we need to add two static routes. We need to add the route for this subnet 10.10.10.4/30, and we need to add a second route for this side range 172.16.1.0/24. The next hop will be the router R2. In this case, the next hop will be the IP address 10.10.10.2. So let's start by adding the first static route, which is 10.10.10.4. You can use the context sensitive help As you can see, we need to specify the prefix mask, the subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.252, and we need to specify the next hop IP address, the IP address of the next hop, or we can specify the interface. I will add the IP address of the router R2, which is 10.10.10.2, and I will press enter. I need to define the second static route for the subnet 172.16.1.0 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0, and the next hop is the same IP. We need to add the same IP address for the next hop because it is the router R2. Press enter. We finished the configuration for R1. Let's save a configuration with the right command. Now let's go to the router R2. R2 knows about two routes. We can check this by running the command show IP route. It knows about the subnet 10.10.10.0/30 because it has an interface with an IP address from this side the range, and it knows about the subnet 10.10.10.4/30 because it has an interface with an IP address from this side. We need to configure on this router two static routes, one for the side range 192.168.1.0/24 and one for the side range 172.16.1.0/24. Let's go to the global configuration mode by running the command configure terminal, and let's run the command IP route. Let's specify the side range 192.168.1.0. Next, let's specify the subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0, and now we need to add the IP address of the next hop. The next hop in our case is R1, so we need to specify the IP address of R1 router, which is 10.10.10.1, and let's press enter. Now let's add the second route, which is for the CIDR 172.16.1.0. So write IP route and 172.16.1.0. We need to specify the subnet mask, which is 255.255.255.0, and the next hop. In this particular situation, the next hop is R3, so we need to specify the IP address of the R3 router. The IP address is 10.10.10.6. Let's press enter. Let's exit from the global config mode and let's check the routing table for router R2. You can check the routing table with the command show IP route. We have the 4 routes which were previously present in the routing table, and we have two new static routes. Now we need to configure static routing on R3. Let's check which information has the router R3 in its routing table. As you can see, R3 knows about the network 10.10.10.4/30 because it has an interface with an IP address from this range, and it knows about the network range 172.16.1.0/24 because it has an interface from this range. We need to add two static routes, one for the CIDR range 192.168.1.0 and one for the CIDR 10.10.10.0/30. Let's go to global configuration mode and let's add the first route. Write IP route and now specify the CIDR range 192.168.1.0 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Next hop in this case is the router R2, and we need to specify the IP address of the router R2. The IP address is 10.10.10.5. So 10.10.10.5 and press enter. Now we need to add the second static route, IP route 10.10.10.0 with the subnet mask 255.255.255.252. The next hop is the same router R2, so we need to add the same IP address 10.10.10.5. Let's exit from the global config mode and let's check the routing table for R3. Run the command show IP route. Right now, as we can see, we have the routes from the 10.0.0/8 subnet, and we have the two static routes. If you want to see only the static routes, you can run the command show IP route static, and you'll see only the static routes, which are the static routes that we have configured previously. Let's save the configuration with the copy running config startup config, and let's press enter. So we finished with the second task. We configured the static routing on all three routers. Now let's check the connectivity between PC1 and PC2. I will try to ping the IP address of the PC2, which is 172.16.1.10, and I'll press enter. The first request timed out. This is normal because of the ARP protocol. Let's repeat the command one more time, and as you can see right now I am able to ping the PC2. I am receiving ICMP replies from the PC2. Let's check the connectivity from PC2 to PC1. I will go to the command prompt and I will run the command ping 192.168.1.10. There is connectivity between PC2 and PC1. This means that you finished this lab and you configured all the three tasks. This is all from my side. I hope you enjoyed doing this lab. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and visit my website gulian.uk for similar labs. Thank you and bye.